Hey, you guys, long time no see. So, today I wanted to do another sit down video. It's been a while since I've done one, so I was like, let me come back with some actual information, some tips. I've been struggling with finding me time working my 9 to 5, and I'm just now getting my bearings back. And I know I'm not the only one, so let's talk about it.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad, they don't salute you. I need a bag.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishan, and I make videos on lifestyle, insurance, and mental health. I also do vlogs, day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life with a toddler, small child, all the things. If that's something that interests you, go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for your support. So at this point, I probably sound like a broken record, but this is real life. I haven't been as consistent with posting, but part of it is because trying to, get enough sleep, trying to eat properly, trying to work out, trying to do my 9 to 5 and not go crazy. Like it's a lot, okay? And I feel like I'm not the only person that's going through this. Like, just even talking to colleagues and close friends, a lot of us are kind of in the same boat. So I've kind of done some, things over the last couple of months that have been helping me create some good habits and to basically separate my 9 to 5 from my personal life so I can actually enjoy life outside of work. I have 5 tips for you guys. So if you're interested, if this is something that you are struggling with, or just something where you could use a different perspective, definitely go on ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so I just want to preface it. These tips are not like groundbreaking. I think it's just more or less like reminders, bring you back to the basics. They're things that we all know, but I had to kind of remind myself and slow down in order to start doing these things. With that being said, my first tip is to schedule regular breaks. I think that when you're working your job, especially if you're like salary or if you're remote and sometimes those lines can get blurred, there's no one sitting there telling you to take a break, you can just work through. I know I'm that type of person. I work in claims, and I get so caught up just in an estimate. I'll get caught up on the phone talking to somebody. I'll be trying to finish a project and stuff like that, and before I know it, it's been like 2 or 3 hours and I haven't stood up. I gotta go get me a drink of water. I gotta pee. I haven't done any of that. So schedule your breaks. Now, I work a 9 to 5 that's hourly. So there are breaks that are actually mandated that we have to take. We're supposed to take two 15-minute breaks and then have at least a 30-minute lunch. I take a 45-minute to an hour lunch typically, just so it gives me time to, prep food if I need to, listen to my audiobooks. That's like a favorite of mine. Like this year I've been all on audiobooks, or even listen to music and get other tasks done. Like when I'm eating my lunch, after I'm done, I'll throw not a load of dishes, but I'll throw some dishes in the dishwasher or remove the ones from the night before. I'll kind of do things around the house to make my evening routine a bit easier. So whatever you need to do, schedule those breaks. Also, the two 15-minute breaks, they're not necessarily enforced, but I do try to make it a habit of taking those breaks, even like a couple 5-minute breaks here and there. Sometimes you just need a break away from your computer and what you're doing. You just need to kind of clear your mind, especially if you're working on something that's stressful and like that you can't figure out the answer to. I know when I take my little 10 15 minutes just to kind of walk around, do something else, have a change of scenery, a lot of times when I come back to my desk, whatever I was working on before, I now have clarity. That doesn't always happen, but I feel like just kind of walking away and giving yourself that breather really helps. So even if you don't like have those mandated breaks, even if you work salary, you need to schedule it in, whether you need to block out time for a task or, set a timer for every 2 hours, break for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you need to do, just so you can kind of break up some of the monotony of the day. Okay, so my second tip is going to be to prioritize your task. Now, this is going to, be for your work, and this is also going to be for your personal life. For work specifically, so I can have time to enjoy what I need to enjoy outside of work, I try to make sure that I look at, the top three most important things. In insurance, everything is important. So it's kind of up to you to decide for like what needs to be done right then and there. A lot of times for me, it comes down to, what customer is going to follow up with me daily. Like, who do I need to get off my desk so they don't keep blowing me up, that kind of thing. So I'll figure out like, okay, I need to review this estimate. I need to get back to this vendor. I need to assign a vendor. I'll try to do all of that in the morning. So then it makes it way easier for me to actually take and enjoy my breaks throughout the day. With that though, I'm also thinking of like my personal tasks. One thing that I'm big on these days is cooking from home. In order to do that, I have to prioritize, I have to make sure that I have the ingredients, and I also have to make sure that the food is ready to go. So whether that be me making sure that something is thawed out, if I know it's gonna, take forever to thaw out, I'm taking out that meat in the morning, or putting it in the refrigerator the night before, something of that sort. I'm chopping up vegetables ahead of time, just trying to make sure that there are no excuses when it comes time for me to make these meals. Same thing with working out. I have an idea already. I'm not at the point where I can work out in the morning yet just because of the way my schedule is, but I do my workouts in the evening. So I need to make sure that I'm organized throughout the day so I can get off at a decent time so I can go and get that workout in and get in my self-care. So make sure that you are thinking about the things that you need to do. Don't plan too many things in a day because you're only one person. I think that a lot of us get caught up in that trap where we're like, I have 30 things to do, but there's only 24 hours a day. You got to sleep, you got to, commute, whatever. So make sure that it's realistic, but prioritize the things that are important so you can make sure that each day is productive and you can actually get in those breaks. Third tip, you guys, is to use your commute wisely. Now, this, I feel like the commute time is underrated. Now, y'all know I work from home, so I'm not like commuting on a daily basis, but I did have a point in my life where I was driving to work and then driving home from work. These days, though, my commute would be more or less when I am going to an inspection, which is like several times a week, or like the times in the morning when I take my son or pick him up from school. So during those times, I'm listening to my favorite music. I'm listening to an audiobook, if I'm doing something personally for myself. But I also try to use that time to call back customers, like especially if I know I have like a long commute. There are times where I'll get calls while I'm on the road, and instead of letting that time, that sometimes 2 hours, go to waste, I'll call people back, hands free of course, but I'll call people back and like answer the questions that I can answer. They know that I'm on the road and they know that I am not able to look in my computer to give them specific information, but typically I know who the person is and I have an idea of what needs to be done, and I can kind of guide them as much as possible. One thing that does professionally for you is it lets your customers know that you are you're around, you're available. They know that you're working, but they also know that that you're being responsible and you can help them out. And also just for you, for your peace of mind, I feel like for me, it helps me to not have all of that on my mind when I get back to my desk. It's like, okay, I already called that person back, so that's like one less thing for me to do. I use that commute to, take care of work stuff, but then also take care of personal things, like personal hobbies that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So yeah, use your commutes, it's time that you're going to have to use anyway. So you may as well do something productive and or, engage in one of your hobbies during that time. My fourth tip, and arguably one of the most important tips, is going to be to set boundaries. It's very easy to blur the lines when you work from home. Even when you work when you work in an office, it can be tough. But I feel like at home, because you're home, you might log in a bit earlier, you might stay a bit later, and make yourself accessible to people after those hours. I think it's important to, like, if you're going to do overtime, do it because you want to. Don't do it because you feel pressured. And if your job is pressuring you to do overtime or, stay super late on a regular basis, then you need to reevaluate your employment. But for me, what I do, I log in every morning between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. My voicemail reflects that. So if you're trying to call me before like 8 a.m., we're not talking. It can go to, even if my phone is on, you are going to go to voicemail. You can leave a voicemail and I'll call you back during my business hours. Even after work, there are times where I might do a bit of OT, but I try to keep that to a minimum. And I try to log out when my 8 hours is complete. At the end of the day, that is the agreement between me and the job, to complete 8 hours. Now, there are going to be times where, it makes more sense for me to do a little bit of additional time. Like if my son is already home, I don't have to worry about leaving to go pick him up, or if my husband's home and he's going to take care of that for me, I might work a little bit longer just to get some things done so I can be ahead for the next day. But for the most part, I'm setting those boundaries because at the end of the day, I am working this job to fund my lifestyle. I'm not working this job because it is my life. I have a whole life outside of that. And if you need to hear that, I'm saying it. You have a whole life and you have people that need you outside of work. Don't make, now, there are some people that are okay with work being their identity. For me, at this point in my life, I want to create memories with my family and friends, and work is just a small piece of that puzzle. So I don't want to use up everything that I have at work. So it's important for me to set those boundaries. Just like, I let my friends and family know while I'm working, I can't do A, B, and C. It's the same thing with my job. When I'm with my family or when I'm with, my friends, I can't do A, B, and C for work because that is my time. So set your boundaries and stick to them because sometimes your job will try to infringe on those boundaries, but they can't if you don't let them. Okay, so my fifth and final tip is to make time for your hobbies. This is so important because I feel like a lot of us that work a traditional 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or, whatever your hours are, I feel like we use our off days to just do basic chores and, pass out. And before you know it, the year has gone by. Now, while you're going to need days like that, and it's just inevitable, like you can't get everything done during the week because you're working 8 hours a day. So your weekends are going to be the time where you do your laundry. Your weekends are going to be the time where grocery shop and all that stuff. Make time to actually live your life. Like if you, like to go to movies, plan a day, like, even if it's once a month or once every couple of months, plan a day to go and see a movie, actually enjoy the money that you're making. If you like to hang out with your friends and go to happy hour, things like that, plan that time so you're not just simply living to work. That is a real thing, and a lot of people get caught up in that. I have gotten caught up in that before too, like where I looked up and 2 years had gone by and I hadn't really taken many vacation days. And I was wondering why I was so burnt out. Because you ain't taking no vacation. Most jobs are giving you a certain amount of vacation. So my tip in that instance is to use it. My goal these days is by the end of the year, I want to be at 0 on my vacation, on my flex days, even on my sick time, child. I'm using the sick time to go and take care of my doctor's appointments and things like that. You want to not only use your weekends, but use the time that your company gives you to live your life. Work is going to be there. What part of my reservations prior to having the epiphany about like using my off days was like, oh my God, this work is gonna pile up, this, that, and the third, and oh my God. And I was just miserable. Like I was just so overworked. It was like every time I would come into work, I'm just like dreading it. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm just overly excited and chipper to go into work, but these days I'm taking off more days, like days that I'm actually given by my job to just do stuff. Like whether that be my best friend and I, for example, are talking about like taking a day off and going to a spa day, like a day off during the week, like a random Tuesday or Wednesday, going to a spa for the day while our kids are in school and being pampered, getting a massage, whatever. We're kind of like planning that in the works, but you got to do stuff for yourself or else working your 9 to 5 will become miserable. So, most of us aren't in a position where we can just be entrepreneurs and, make our own schedule and stuff like that. But you can still live a fulfilling life, even if you're working for someone else and punching somebody else's clock. Don't let them fool you. All right, you guys. So that is all I have for you today. Again, these tips are not groundbreaking. It's not like breaking news, but I feel like sometimes we just need to be real back in. You can get into these habits and just kind of lose yourself when you are pressed for time, sleep deprived and all that stuff. I know that's how I was. Like there was a point in time where I felt like I was staying up late just to have some type of me time, and then I'm tired in the morning and I got to do it all over again. Sometimes you just need to go back to the basics, and a lot of it really is just making sure that you intentionally plan that time, because no one's going to do it for you. You have to intentionally say, hey, this is what I want to do, so this is what I'm going to have to do it. At the end of the day, your job, for the most part, most people's jobs are going to be 8 hours. So adhere to that 8 hours, and then the other 16 hours of the day, make sure that you're getting enough rest, and make sure that you are planning out your life and living your life. If you enjoyed this video, if it resonated with you, definitely go on ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you made it this far and haven't subscribed, please go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And with that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your bag, it's like I never knew you, leader.